Most people do not get weak results from ChatGPT because the model is weak. They get weak results because the request leaves too many important decisions unstated. Watch this. Prompt 1 says, "Teach me Python." The answer may be correct, but it has no idea whether you are a complete beginner, preparing for an interview, or trying to automate a spreadsheet. Now compare it with this. Build a 7-day Python plan for a complete beginner who has 30 minutes a day. Focus on data analysis, use free resources, and end each day with one small exercise. Present it as a table, then tell me how to check my progress. Same model, same topic, completely different level of usefulness. In the next few minutes, you will learn a 5-part method called SCOPE. By the end, you will have a reusable prompt template that works for learning, writing, planning, analysis, and many everyday tasks. More importantly, you will understand why it works, so you can adapt it instead of collecting endless lists of magic prompts. First, one important correction. A prompt is not a secret command that unlocks hidden intelligence. A language model predicts a response from the information and instructions available in the conversation. Its output is probabilistic, which means the same request can produce slightly different answers. A better prompt does not guarantee truth. It reduces ambiguity, guides priorities, and makes the result easier to evaluate. SCOPE stands for specific task, context, output, parameters, and evaluate. Think of it as a compact project brief. You do not need every part for every question. But when the task matters, these 5 parts prevent most avoidable failures. The first letter is S, specific task. Weak prompts often begin with a topic instead of an action. Marketing ideas. Explain machine learning. Help with my resume. The model must guess what finished work should look like. Replace the topic with a clear verb and a concrete outcome. Instead of teach me Python, say, create a 7-day beginner plan to learn the Python skills needed for basic data analysis. Notice what changed. We are not asking for everything about Python. We are asking for a plan with a duration for a defined purpose. Specific does not mean long. It means the model can identify the job to be done. The second letter is C, context. Context is the information that changes a good answer. Imagine giving directions without saying where you are. That is what a context-free prompt does. For our learning plan, useful context might be, I have never programmed before. I can study for 30 minutes per day. I use a basic laptop, and I learn best by building small examples. Do not dump your entire life story into the prompt. Include only details that could change the recommendation. Your experience, audience, available time, tools, constraints, and goal are usually more valuable than vague instructions like, make it amazing. Here is a simple test. If removing a detail would not change the answer, that detail is probably unnecessary. The third letter is O, output. Many frustrating responses are not wrong, they are simply packaged badly. If you need to act on the answer, define the form. Ask for table, checklist, email, lesson plan, JSON object, decision matrix, or 3 short options with trade-offs. For our example, we can say, present the plan as a table with columns for day, concept, 15-minute lesson, 15-minute exercise, and a clear completion check. Output instructions save time because the model does not have to guess how you will use the result. They also make comparison easier. A structured answer is easier to scan, verify, and improve. The fourth letter is P, parameters. Parameters define the boundaries. This includes length, tone, reading level, budget, deadline, sources, prohibited content, and success criteria. Our prompt could add, use only free tools, do not require a GPU. Keep each exercise small enough to finish in 15 minutes. Define technical terms in plain English. This is where precision matters, but more instructions are not automatically better. Too many rules can conflict. If you ask for a complete explanation that is also extremely short, with 10 examples and no technical terms, the model has to trade one goal against another. State the highest priority first and remove constraints that do not serve the outcome. The final letter is E, evaluate. This is the part many tutorials skip. Do not treat the first answer as a finished product. Ask the model to expose assumptions, check the output against your criteria, or identify what information is missing. For our plan, add, before finalizing, check that every day fits within 30 minutes. If an assumption could materially change the plan, ask me one clarifying question first. Evaluation does not make the model infallible. a model can confidently approve its own mistake. For facts that matter, verify them with reliable sources. For calculations, test the numbers. For code, run it. For professional decisions, use qualified human judgment. The goal is not blind trust. The goal is a faster feedback loop. Now let us assemble the full prompt. Create a 7-day beginner plan to learn the Python skills needed for basic data analysis. I have never programmed before. I can study for 30 minutes per day, and I use a basic laptop. Present the plan as a table with columns for day, concept, short lesson, exercise, and completion check. Use only free tools, do not require a GPU, and define technical terms in plain English. Before finalizing, verify that each day fits within 30 minutes. If missing information would materially change the plan, ask one clarifying question first. That is scope in one prompt. A specific task, useful context, a defined output, practical parameters, and a built-in evaluation step. There are 3 common mistakes to avoid. Mistake 1 is using a role as a substitute for information. Saying, act as a world-class expert may influence tone, but it does not tell the model your real goal, audience, or constraints. A relevant perspective can help, but context is more useful than exaggerated titles. Mistake 2 is asking for hidden certainty. Phrases like guarantee this is correct cannot create evidence. Ask for sources, assumptions, uncertainty, and verification steps instead. Mistake 3 is trying to solve a large project in one giant prompt. Break complex work into stages. First define the goal, then create an outline, review the outline, produce one section, test it. Continue. Conversation is not a failure of prompting, it is often the best prompting strategy. Here is the reusable template. Pause the video if you want to copy it. Your task is to create blank. The relevant context is blank. Return the result as blank. Follow these constraints and priorities, blank. Before finalizing, check the result against blank, state important assumptions, and ask a clarifying question if essential information is missing. You can shorten this for simple requests and expand it for serious work. The principle is stable. Tell the model what success looks like, provide the information that changes the answer, and keep a human verification loop. Try scope on one task today. Take a prompt that disappointed you and rewrite it using the 5 parts. Then compare the outputs side by side. You will learn more from that experiment than from memorizing 50 clever prompt phrases. Good prompting is not about talking like a machine. It is about thinking clearly enough to collaborate with one. If this made AI more practical, subscribe to Model Anatomy. Here, we take complex systems apart, one useful idea at a time.